new Harry's Garage video, and today's car is really exciting. It is a Maserati MC20. I've been really keen to get this car in, particularly after just having that McLaren Artura and obviously the Ferrari 296 GTB, and also my Lotus Emira getting back from our trip. So these are the new generation of mid-engine sports cars that have come on the scene, and this MC20 is a really interesting take on the whole scenario because it is conventionally powered, just normal V6 twin turbo, well, not normal, quite a racy engine. But their decision at Maserati is they're not going to build these hybrid cars like the McLaren Artura and the 296 GTB. They're going to do a pure electric version of this MC20 or a pure petrol version like this one with a V6 twin turbo engine with 630 metric horsepower. But this is also where it sits in the market is interesting as well, because I would have thought with the less tech they would have a slightly lower price point for this MC20, but no, Maserati are charging £190,580 for this car before extras. That compares Artura as £187,000 and the Ferrari 296 much more expensive, £241,285 before extras. This car, as you see it here though, delivered with, I think it's got carbon seals, etc., is £249,590. Is it worth that much? Let's go and have a closer look. First thing to say about the Maserati, it's a fabulous looking car, beautifully designed, absolutely Maserati, and designed in-house and built in-house in Modena. This is a 100% Italian car. They're very proudly state in the press release on it, and yeah, good on them actually building this within their factory at Modena. The Gran Turismo production line has been taken out and it's been replaced to build this. Looking at this front though, there's a lot of carbon fibre, and I think part of that £59,000 worth of optional extras are the two packages, the exterior carbon pack, which includes side seals and all this here. You can also see how big the radiator is really leant back in the front. And that actually means you think there's a bit of a boot going on in here. There isn't really. I'll just flash up what it looks like. You can just about get your tyre repair kit in there, a tow kit, a toolbar, but there isn't a proper boot there. And then you come round, it's got these black, I love this design of wheel, in gloss black unfortunately, but there we go, and black calipers was another extra. Black roof I think is also an option, and then these carbon sills, huge sills. Now I've had this car in December and the weather has been a bit grotty where I have it, and if you just swing round here, this fires mud at this car like I've never known a car do it. If you look down the sill you can see the tar treads. Any grot on the road fires instantly down the side of this car. And the other thing I've also noticed about it, it doesn't do speed bumps. It's got front lift on this as an option, but there's all sorts of aero underneath, and they're in carbon fibre fins. I'll drop a shot of it in now. And I don't understand the cars that are doing this, because do they have these sort of blister speed bumps the rest of Europe? I don't know. I've got them around here. You can't go anywhere near, and it grounds out quite a lot just in normal motoring. Are they sacrificial, these carbon fibre strips underneath? Another thing, it's got dihedral doors, lovely, huge, great door opening up. You can see the carbon construction. This car is fully carbon constructed, doors, panels, and the chassis itself. One thing to note though, that is a very wide opening, and I've come unstuck when I've parked up and suddenly realised I can't get out because I'm hitting the car beside me about that angle, and it's not enough of a gap to get out. So you need quite a lot of space. It's a proper supercar, this car. Carbon interior as well, again, we'll look at it in more detail when we get outside. Come round to the back, carbon here, diffuser coming out, twin pipes obviously. Not a lot of aero again, no aero going on here, so there's no, like the 296 shoots up a little flap here, nothing here, all fixed, and a big panel. I'm going to open this up and we'll have a quick look at the engine. Under here, well, there is the V6 sunk right down in this car. It's dry sumped in this sense, so I'm not sure how closely it's related to the quattrofoglio, but it's twin plug they say it's got F1 technology, and it does pump out a lot of horsepower. So 3-litre V6 and 630 horsepower, as I said, but also 730 Newton meters from this 3-litre V6. That's chunky. If you think the 296 with electrical assistance puts out 740 Newton meters, the McLaren Artura V6, well, that is rated at 577 horsepower and 584 Newton meters of torque without the electrical assistance. I couldn't get a figure for the Ferrari without electrical assistance, but this matches them just with the V6. It's a heavily boosted engine. There is your boot space, not as big as perhaps the Emira. I think this is 160 litres, Emira's 200 and something, I think. So it's a bit restricted on luggage compared to the others. And the other thing, visibility is hopeless out the back. You've got that little screen, but then you look through this perspex screen here and you can't see a thing. So it's actually got one of those trick mirrors that is actually a camera position here, and you just can't use the conventional mirror. I tried it in daylight and at night, and at night you get all sorts of weird reflections, so you're very reliant on that. So there you go. There is a quick run around the Maserati MC20. Let's take it outside, take it for a drive. Yeah, it's quite theatrical doing the doors on this car, but it's what you'd expect from a Maserati supercar. It's fairly conventional when you look out. It's not uber modern, the sort of switchgear. It's Maserati, it's different, isn't it? Unfortunately, it's not like Ferrari 296 and indicators on the wheel and stuff. It's quite a busy wheel. Stop, start, launch, cruise control, nose lift, radio, etc. But the one thing I notice as soon as I get in, the steering is that limp, horrible electric feel at stationary speeds, like you've pressed sort of easy steer on your Fiat 500. Has no place in a Maserati supercar. It gets better with speed. Other thing I notice, I've had this car for a few days. I've done 121 miles. And the range is 36 miles, so it's got quite a small petrol tank. I've actually just put 5 litres in it just in case, so I'm not worried about fuel. And interestingly, the range has not moved. Here I've got this interesting control, so it starts out in what we term a GT mode, and then I have Sport and Corsa as it gets more aggressive around there. Today is probably going to be, unfortunately, GT and Sport, possibly even wet. We will be not going close to Corsa or ESC off in today's conditions. And on the dash I have a thing saying everything is cold, tyres and engine. Behind, there's a little shelf just right up the top here. Seats are nice, they're electrically controlled, and I've got somewhere to charge my iPhone down there. Anyway, enough rabbiting. Pull on a paddle and into drive, and off we go. It's quite aggressive, the move off. Even like, yeah, I'm in GT mode. It's just the torque, the way it steps off. It wants to get a move on. Oh, the other thing you notice is the mirror, as I say, is a TV camera. And I can swap it to looking out the back, but what I look at is the back of the engine hatch and a tiny sliver of outside world just above it. Absolutely useless. Hence you'll use, I'm afraid, the camera most of the time. Enough rabbiting. You'll join me later as we get close to Burford. This just gives you a first chance to sort of the engine's warm now. This is just a normal. Just a very aggressive engine, just wants to get on. It's like that. It's not a calm delivery, it's spiky. It's the first thing you notice. Relatively quiet in here, 75, 76 decibels on my test bit of road, and sort of civilised, just sort of easy-going nature, apart from its power delivery. Is your first thoughts when you get in here, and the view out really reminds me of this sort of screen of the Ferrari Enzo.
or an MC12, I suppose. Surprised to see even heated seats in here, which is good. But one thing I would like is sort of the Manatino switch. I suppose that is this, but it's a strange thing. I've got also on here. Let's put it up to sport. I can put it on to sport. Just I think there's valves and the exhaust opens up. It's different, slightly different engine mode. But I've got a sort of bumpy road session, so I can press the middle and the dampers I can see go to soft. So there's softer setting, but in the more aggressive sport setting for the engine and chassis, which is good. If I want to go manual, I just press the button down there, and I'm now in manual. Let's squirt it out of here. I'm going to use, I think I'll use for just because I know it'll just overload it if I do it in seconds. Here we go. Yeah, it just cannot put its power down in conditions like this. So frustrating. I had it in relatively dry conditions when it first arrived, and even then it struggled. It is a quick car though. I was looking at the figures, and it's been independently tested to say acceleration 0 to 200 kilometers an hour, 125. This does it in 9 seconds. That compares to the Artura, which was 8.3, and then the blindly quick Ferrari 296 at 7.3 to 200 clicks. So it is actually the slower of those three, those trio. But the way it delivers it is completely different. It doesn't have that torque feel of the electric. It just goes to massive boost and tries to transmit all its torque immediately, and ties itself slightly in knots with the traction control and the road, etc. So it's not a particularly happy car when it comes to that. Here we go. God damn me, a fight. No way of deploying the horsepower today. It's a funny sound as well. It's a relatively muted. It's not an unpleasant sound. It doesn't have any of that harshness that the Artura had, but it's not nearly as tuneful as the 296. Now down here, it's good. It is very good on here. Very composed. The steering, it is a bit inert, the steering. It is more like the 296 than the Artura there. I can just sense a little bit with the steering, but nothing like as talkative as the McLaren or the Emira for that matter, but locked on, very stable. I'm not seeing that range improve. 30 miles now. That would drive me nuts. 150, 160 miles a tank. Really not good. McLaren was pretty good on fuel. That had a 75-litre tank as well as the battery. Strange brake feel as well. You don't actually get a lot of confidence from the brake. You press and it doesn't actually work as well as you want, and then you press a bit harder and there's a bit more travel than you might expect. Let's put it into manual. Fourth round here. Nice turning, sharp. Yeah, I did load up a bit coming through there. Yeah. Gosh, it's an interesting car, this one, in many ways. I think it's time to summarise and run through some dislikes and likes. Starting with the dislikes, well, range obviously. Then the steering, that limp handshake you get when you first get in it. It is better underway, but it is nowhere near one of the best steering setups for feedback, and it's just a very stable system. Turns in, a little slight load up as you turn into corners, but not as talkative as I would like. And it feels weirdly old-fashioned. You know, it's a brand new car, it's carbon tubbed, and yet I haven't got those sort of elements of modernness about it somehow. I'm not feeling it's modern. The engine delivers lots of power. There you go, grinding out. There's no bump there at all. And yeah, I'm surprised by that. And then the weight. I haven't mention the weight. Maserati claim under 1,500 kilos. Evo weighed their car on Evo Car of the Year, and it was 1,700 kilos. It was heavier than the Artura and 296, and they've got batteries and electric motors, all the rest of it. How have Maserati made this car so heavy? And I wonder if that's why I'm struggling on traction, because there's this huge amount of horsepower and torque trying to move a big mass, and it's just, you know, you just get wheel spin. That's what it feels like from where I'm sitting. That mass is very noticeable. But there are some likes with this car. The looks, it looks drop dead gorgeous to my eyes. I absolutely love it. And the elongated look, it looks glamorous. It's everything I want from a Maserati supercar. Then there's no denying there's a lot of power. An awful lot of power that's engaging, and it's a bit dangerous to know. Weirdly, I quite like that. There's this corner, no charge. I'll try high gear. Just spiky, typical turbo performance. I mean, of old school turbo performance. Say, it feels like a cross between my Countach and an F40 in the way it delivers its power and goes down the road. It's sort of usable. I can put it back down to GT mode and it all calms down, relatively speaking. The engine is still a bit spiky, but it rides beautifully, etc. So I have a conundrum. Do I like it? Yes, I like it. Do I like it more than an Artura or a 296? That's where I'm struggling. Out of the three, the one that shines brightest for me is that McLaren Artura, just a whisper ahead of 296. I do like that modern idea of the hybrid supercar. The thing that confuses me though is this car without its battery, I can see just being as engaging, as enthralling, as frustrating with all its poor points in 10 years time. And I'm not sure if I actually want to own a 296 or an Artura in 10 years time, because then I've got all that battery technology, I've got degradation of battery, you know they're going to advance batteries, etc. So that's my dilemma with this. Right now, to own, take for a drive, McLaren Artura, this sort of second with the 296, but all mighty close, all great examples, but long term, I think this might be a very good place to be. They're not going to be building many numbers. I'm intrigued by the electric version, the open version, that sort of thing. So there you go. That's my test of the Maserati MC20. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep watching, keep subscribing, more videos coming along very soon.